And I am live. Welcome into the Fieldhouse Files, the Fever Files. We're back and getting ready for another season already. I'm Scott Agness, who runs fieldhousefiles.com. I've been around the Indiana Fever from the beginning. I've been around them closely since 2003, and I've been covering them since 2012. But right now, we're about a week out from the start of training camp. And so the last week has really been about free agency in particular and getting this roster figured out a little bit. We knew Kelsey Mitchell would be back. We knew Lexie Hull would be back. But until today, they had just three players under contract for next season. Aaliyah Boston, a draft pick. Caitlin Clark, a draft pick. And Michaela Tipson, a draft pick. And the next draft for 2026 is almost there, just a few days away. Monday night, Fever don't have a top pick, and there's two new teams to the fold, but the Fever have three picks, the number 10 pick in each round. So that's to what to look forward to there. You hope you can get a difference type player in the first round, someone that can be in your rotation nearly right away, perhaps, maybe not with these championship aspirations and the type of talent they hope to bring in. But at this juncture, you hope for the long run that it can serve two purposes. For one, someone that can contribute right away, and secondly, someone that is under cost control for the next few years here, while their contracts are about to get very expensive over the next couple of years. A supermax contract for Kelsey Mitchell. Probably the same thing coming here for Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark in subsequent years. But today was important because you finally get two obvious things done. Number one, re-signing Kelsey Mitchell to the largest contract in franchise history, a 7-figure deal. What's remarkable to me, and I know I've repeated it, so I apologize if you're tired of hearing about it, but the fact that Kelsey Mitchell will now make $1.4 million or so this upcoming year, which is almost equivalent to the entire salary cap this past year, which was $1.5 million. If anything, that just speaks to the level at which they were able to negotiate a new collective bargaining agreement and how all tides are lifting. I mean, the rookie scale deals are about $270,000. That's more than Kelsey, as the highest paid player in the league, made last season. So everybody's getting more, and understandably so, right? We're at the point now where this influx in money, TV money, over $200 million per year is being entered into the league. And that's just strictly from the NBA side of the deal. That does not include side deals such as Ion, CBS Sports Network, and USA Sports as well. We do not know the full terms of the monetary terms to that deal, but it certainly adds to the pot. And for the first time, the players are benefiting significantly because they have a revenue share here in what's going down. We still do not have the full terms of what this new collective bargaining agreement looks like. I remind you, the NBA's, for example, is almost 700 pages. To this point, the only thing we've been able to see is 2 pages. So it's hard to give a full reaction and thoughts on it when we've basically seen bullet points and the things that they've highlighted that they want for us to see. But in those key bullet points really are a $7 million salary cap for up from 1.5 max contract, super max deal like Kelsey will be getting here is worth 1.4 million. Rookie scale deals increase. One of my favorite things here is that each team can have 2 spots for player development. Any of you watching the field last year understand how critical and helpful that will be when players kept going down with injuries. That's significant. How about former players benefiting? Someone like Tamika Catchings in the league for 10 plus years will be getting paid out, I think, $100,000, and players say with 6 years of experience get something like $50,000 or so. There's about 3 tiers to it. I don't have it in front of me, but those are some of the many ways it's increasing. And then also, I think a key point is the standard professional facilities, the new standard that is in place for these teams. On top of that, we have 2 new teams joining the fold. And last week, they held the expansion draft, the Fever losing Christy Wallace, who, for personal reasons, elected not to come across to the U.S. and to play in the WNBA last year, and as well as Chloe Bibby, a late add into the season. I think she played about 9 games before they couldn't really figure out the soreness in her leg, her knee, and so her season also was over prematurely. Appreciate everyone jumping on here and joining me. We'll do a lot more lives coming up, but I thought there was just too much action today that we needed to react to it. I wanted to hear some of your thoughts and take your questions as well before I get to a quick story, another one at fieldhousefiles.com here today. Several of you talking about Sophie Cunningham, no deal done. Appears she's back home in Missouri on a farm right now. It's unclear. It feels likely that she's still going to end up with the Fever, doesn't it? The reality is this: she wants to be back. They want her back, but the Fever have salary cap limitations. We're all still wondering how the New York Liberty, in agreeing to deals with so many different players, are going to be able to figure that out, right? But from the Fever standpoint with Sophie, the challenge is the money and making it work, because I think she'll be able to get more money elsewhere. So how much does she value this situation? Her teammates, being with Caitlin, being with Lexie, who she's obviously very good friends with. And she's already shown that she can get brand deals, a podcast, all that out of this experience. Heck, her face was on the JW Marriott during the Final Four this past week. However, if she wants to just go take the largest money, I believe that will come from a deal elsewhere. But we'll see with that situation. I would not rule it out just yet. April, what's up? Appreciate you jumping on here. Basil, good to see you again. Alana Smith, a lot of people have been tossing her name out. It's funny. She was here for a year, several years ago, during the very dark years. Kelsey Smith was teammates with her. I think Lexie Hall might have been teammates with her as well. I think she would be very good. Physical, can finish at the basket, can provide relief inside. I have not heard her name, yes or no, whatsoever. They've been tight-lipped throughout this whole process. Do we know about Ty Harris? Yes, Ty Harris is planning to sign with the Fever coming up. That deal was agreed to this afternoon. I think Chloe had that first, but I was able to confirm that is in the process of getting done. She's an Indianapolis product, attended Heritage Christian, and was a teammate with Aaliyah Boston, I think, for 1 year at South Carolina. So obviously she comes from a professional type program where winning is the gold standard. She also has familiarity, couple seasons with the Fever coaching staff, Stephanie White, Austin Kelly, and Breon January. They're in Connecticut, 2023, 2024, spent last year in Dallas, played just 5 games ultimately, but you could see her penciled in as a reserve guard there in the backcourt, a player that's still young, just 27 years old. And again, I like her pedigree and her familiarity. And one thing you'll see with the players they bring in is familiarity. They really like the roster that they had last year. More than anything, they like their connectivity, their togetherness, and how none of them quit on each other, right? I forget what the final total of players that came through in, but it felt like at least 20 on what was a 12-member roster because of all those injuries. And yet there were an overtime period from the WNBA finals, no overtime with Aaliyah Boston. I believe she fouled out. Kelsey Mitchell obviously suffered that dehydration to her muscles and couldn't move really comfortably and had to be wheeled off the court and such, unable to finish that game and was hospitalized briefly. Everything's fine with her, by the way. She played an unrivaled, is doing very well, but she truly left it out all on the court. It feels like that was just a few months ago, but that was all the way back at the end of September. Bill Ames, nobody talking about ticket prices. I haven't heard anything about ticket prices. Tell me more, Bill. Has it gotten out of control, or what are things looking like for you? Obviously, I don't have tickets, so I'm unaware, and nobody has complained to me just yet. So that's new, if so. Ty has not been signed, David. Not been signed. They're working towards an agreement, but no deal has been finalized and signed just yet. So after Monique Billings, the Fever now have, I believe it's 6 players under contract. Or no, that'd be 5, 6. Yeah, 6 players, right? Aaliyah Boston, Caitlin Clark, Michaela Tipson already. Add the 2 of Hull and Kelsey Mitchell, and then Monique Billings. She did sign her contract here today. So that deal has been finalized. But Ty Harris, not just yet. Yeah, not surprised either, RB Gibson, about all of that. How do the development players work? Those two do not count against your active roster, but those can be great replacement players should you need them, and that's what it's all about. And so you come June and you need a player to fill in for a couple games. That could be it potentially. It's not a full salary; it's less of a salary. Um, but teams also have to use all 12 roster spots. The two development spots are in addition to that. So I would expect 14 players, presumably, to be on the Fever roster on opening night. But those two players, that would mean they don't suit up for the games or anything like that. They're just in a development role, and I believe they'll be able to be promoted should that need occur. Again, that's one of the many things, though, we need more details of, but that's my understanding of how it works. Yeah, Pope. Many people wondering about Liberty and Aces re-signing several players to significant deals, especially Liberty. How can they make that work with Sato and Stewie and Sabrina and John Quell? And I'm forgetting someone there, but that's going to be the interesting thing is how can all the different teams make it work financially? Because here in a couple of years, if the Fever have Mitchell, Boston, Clark all under max contracts, that means you'll have, I don't know, $3 million to fill out the final 9 roster spots if it gets to that level. Obviously, the salary cap will continue to increase, is the expectations. But yeah, that'll be interesting to see the direction this team goes with that standpoint. I think it's notable that they have gotten younger. I mean, you look at Ty Harris, she's 27, Mo Billings, 29. Both have experience. Both have been in the league for a while. But it's not adding the significant veterans like you did last year with DeWanna Bonner and Natasha Howard. I think it's wise to skew a little bit younger, have some experience, absolutely. And with Billings, let's talk about her a little bit. Like what she's able to provide. I think as in a reserve role off the bench is how I view her. She's had experience with 3 Fever players, with 2 plus head coach Stephanie White with Team USA. She played with Caitlin Clark at Team USA, so we are able to see them operate together in the pick and roll. I really like that and how they seem to pair one another with Billings darting to the basket, Clark finding her with a pocket pass and little things like that. They seem to get on a wavelength pretty quickly. And then on top of that, even before then, for the first few months of this year, Mo Billings was teammates. I think it was Team Hive down at Unrivaled with Kelsey Mitchell, who is one of the best players down there. She played in it for the first time, did not play in it last year in the opening year. So right away, familiarity with your 2 best players as well as your head coach. That's why that one did not surprise me whatsoever that they were able to get it done. And as she mentioned in her Instagram video, look, she's a veteran now. She entered the league at 2018. She was looking for a team that demanded or desired her, that wanted to take care of her, that the fit was good, and she could work well with players. And the early returns, because we have seen some of that, is that it will work out and should look good. But to be determined and all that, of course. But I think we don't know the numbers just yet on what she costs, but I think this should be a lower cost type player. Played 26 games last year with Golden State, picked up and started a handful of games. But to me, she is not a starter. She's a reserve player that can run the floor, can defend, has a little height to her at 6'4", has some experience. All those things are encouraging. Let's see. We got a report from a great great grandmother. There you go. I haven't heard any of that, so I'm not too sure about that. Dean said, "Do you know if Aaliyah Boston is 100% after unrivaled injury?" I do not. I reported at fieldhousefiles.com, I want to say a month or 2 ago, what I believe it was within her knee there, that they were just not having surgery, nothing like that. They were doing extensive physiotherapy to try to work on it with the meniscus and get it back in good shape, stabilized heading into this season. But I do not know for certain that if she is feeling 100% or anything like that. What I do know is the team has a new medical staff this season, a new leader. I also know she's been around in town ever since that unrivaled injury. So I think that's highly encouraging because she's been able to work get that hands-on treatment daily if she wants it. I know she got a massage the other day, all the little things that can add up to big things as she tries to get back to full strength. So I think that's encouraging. When is Dantas signing? I have not confirmed Dantas re-signing. And there was the trouble with free agency is there's a lot of random accounts putting things out there. And so if I haven't heard it or someone I know reliably reporting it, I don't know about that. Fever Tempo ticket prices at Tempo are wildly high. I could see that, but also that's not under the Fever's control. That's Toronto trying to capitalize off of it. 39 of the Fever's 44 games in NBA arenas. And yes, many of the teams, most of the teams now in NBA arenas, but it's still funny to me now. You're seeing Las Vegas and Atlanta and Chicago, all of those teams move to bigger arenas when the Fever are in town. All right. What else do we have here? Boston's a rookie contract still. Yep, absolutely. So both of them are making significant increases, though, from like 70 to 80,000 per year last year to almost 600,000 each next season. So that's significant. You're welcome, Carol. Thanks for jumping on here, you and everybody else. So I appreciate that. Do you think the Fever will re-sign Natasha? I assume that means Howard. I doubt it. I think we saw in the playoffs when they went different routes. I think you need to get younger, and I think that's what they've begun to do here at the start of free agency. Re-sign two of their players that are in their prime and probably entering their prime, as I think Lexie is, and you want to roll with that. You don't want players on the back end. I think last year maybe it was helpful because you had that championship experience with DB early on, briefly, and Natasha Howard, who I think has won 3 WNBA championships and several other accolades. I think that's helpful for a locker room. She was valued, she was appreciated, but I don't think they'll bring her back. I'd be surprised with that. Let's see what else. Any news on Ari McDonald? No, nothing yet. I'm also not sure if she's 100%. She had an unfortunate foot injury that happened the first week of Unrivaled, and then she didn't play since. And I've seen her in videos, and she's just been in a walking boot and things like that. So I would guess she's not even going to be 100% at the start of training camp. And so that's not a position right now the Fever can put themselves in with role players, is not be at 100%, not ready to go at training camp. Do I know if Aaliyah will be able to play with Team USA since she was injured? She would be able to play. Absolutely. This does not rule her out. I think we heard Sue Bird talk about this over the last couple of media availabilities in December. And then the last time was before the World Cup qualifying tournament, in that these training camps are just to get an idea of who's interested, to get a viewpoint of who's playing and who's playing well. There was another training camp that was held in Phoenix during the women's Final Four. And, Caitlin didn't participate in that. Kelsey didn't participate in that. I think both of them very much under consideration, obviously, for the Olympic team and World Cup team, firstly, coming up this fall in September. I'd be surprised if Caitlin's not on it. And I think serious consideration will be given certainly to Aaliyah. But because she was out and then was due to injury, no, that does not rule her out. Just consider some of the players that were not on that team. Stewie participated in camp but didn't play. And several others did not. So that is not an automatic X because it was out of her control as well. All right, a lot more comments rolling in. I just skipped several things, so I apologize if I missed your thing. Let's see. What's up, Eddie? Good to see you, man. You think Rory's going to choke? Yeah, not one person mentioned the Masters until you. That's the only thing that's been disappointed to me today is while I had the Masters on, I was on the phone and writing all day long during one of my favorite special weekends of the year, and I expect that will probably be the case again coming up tomorrow. Let's see. Yeah, I haven't seen, again, Dantas I have not seen. Not to say it's not out there, but I am not aware of it. And so I can't confirm or anything on that. I'd be surprised with Dantas, quite frankly. Yeah, I would. I don't see that. Also saw people talking about, would you bring Temi Fagbenle back? I don't see that the way in which I heard that locker room felt. So I would not expect that one either. If that's even a realistic, there's so many thoughts and rumors and speculation out there that it's hard to weed through what is. I try to keep focus on what I know, what I've been told, and what I know. And so there you go. Portland tripled their prices for Fever game. Yeah, look, I'm not surprised by that, but that's ticket prices elsewhere. I was wondering what ticket prices are with Indiana if they've done any significant increase. I'm certain they probably raised prices. I know they have. In recent years, I had a friend that used to get, I think, season tickets for $1,000 per ticket, and now that one ticket went up by 75. Would it be 400%? I think is what it'd be to $4,000 per ticket per season. So, yeah, I'm not surprised by that. Angela, my understanding is that Kelsey Mitchell's again under a 1 year deal will be for the max, super max. Um, I've not seen the full terms submitted just yet, but I think that makes the most sense too for both sides, especially from the Fever standpoint, because they got to figure out Aaliyah Boston's contract coming up, and then it'll be Caitlin Clark's, and so you want to maintain that flexibility and not be locked into any one player. And uh, not to say this could happen, but Kelsey's going into her ninth year. Maybe after next year, she wants a fresh start somewhere else. That could give her that flexibility. As a supermax type player, you're afforded that availability. And so I don't think it's a bad thing for either side for them to be able to do this. Now, again, my understanding with this new CBA is she cannot be cored next year. This is the final season that she could be cored here with the Fever, which is the second season or so in a row. Several more people talking about Alana Smith. And yeah, I talked about her earlier. I would like that. I could see that as a good option. Um, but nothing firm there. We do know in her post on Instagram that she's going away from Minnesota. Not sure where she's headed just yet. Yeah, repeating doesn't make it a fact. Totally. Exactly. Let's see. Did I miss me talking about other free agents Fever are targeting? I'm answering questions right now from what I've heard. I missed a lot of you. Haven't seen many of you here in a while. Yeah, Commissioner's Cup MVP Natasha Howard. I mentioned Alana Smith previously and now, so nothing new on that front just yet. Let's see. Yeah, another fan here. I'm so glad Fever didn't go the old player route. Again, I don't mind one. I think all teams would be beneficial to have one, that veteran leader. But also, I wouldn't be spending a ton of money on that spot. Maybe, for example, that would be Sydney Colson this year, a player that can play still, but also does not tie up significant money. And if I'm Natasha Howard, for example, I'm trying to bank in. I'm trying to get as close to that regular standard max, which is just over $1 million as I can after being in the league for over 10 years. So for the Fever, I don't think those two sides make sense. She wants max money. Fever need deals now, um, being top heavy coming up. And so they have a lot more roster spots to still fill because right now you're looking at 6 players under contract, the latest being Monique Billings. Here coming up soon will probably be Ty Harris, who will be joining the franchise as well. That deal is not done just yet, though. No mention of Turner. I assume you're talking about Brianna Turner. And again, she was a minimum player last year. She's a player you would fill out last. And maybe she's that veteran, like I was talking about there. But that is not a day one player. That's not someone you sign immediately. That's something you fill out maybe many days in once you're finalizing your training camp roster and probably making a player like her or Sydney Colson, for example, earn that final training camp spot, final roster spot in training camp. There's no reason to give a guaranteed deal to individuals like that when there's no guarantee they'd be on a roster elsewhere. So again, it's while we like these personalities and these individuals and players last year, you also don't want to strap yourself in with so many guaranteed contracts just to make it happen. Excuse me. Are there any players signed to multi-year contracts? Of the new ones coming in, I believe Lexie and Monique Billings are multi-year deals. Excuse me. Been talking a lot. Yep, that's right, Kay. What else do we have here? Ooh. Fever ticket, appreciate the $2. You're late. Is Sophie asking for a big bag? You wouldn't blame her if she was, would you? Um, Coming off a really good year, did have that torn MCL in her right leg. Seems to be doing well. She's posted videos of her running, and the only other thing that probably is more difficult is quick adjustments. It's quick cutting, things like that. And she's gotten big time, right? From a marketing standpoint. Um, Look, she was posing in SI swimsuit as she posted. She's doing all these different deals. She's got her own podcast that's seemingly doing very, very well. Um, but look, I think there's a tie in there with Caitlin and Lexie in particular that I would think it'd be very difficult for her to move on and want to go somewhere else, unless the money was just too far apart. I would be surprised because she fit in seamlessly. The team rallied around her. She filled a need in many ways on the court. She's a Midwest girl. This is close to home, out there in Missouri, and she loved it here. And so, if she is not back here, it would be purely because of money. I believe. I think it is because the Fever again have to really watch their money, and if Sophie's a fringe starter, you're not wanting or really able to pay, a significant contract in the high six figures, which is probably the area she's looking at. I still think something could get done with her. You're only on day one, so there's no reason to panic there. Um, let's see what else. Tipson staying here. Yeah, she's still under her rookie deal, so no surprise with that. I do foresee some more signings coming up as soon as tomorrow. Yes, Dean. Let's see. Nothing on Bree Turner, as I talked about earlier. I would not expect anything with her in the next couple of days. Usually, that's just not how it works with players on minimum type deals. Do I think Monique is being brought in as a backup big, or is she meant to be a starting four? I kind of view her as a backup big, frankly. From what I saw, I mean, she was a player that didn't even have a full contract all last season necessarily. She had to earn it. And I think there's some chemistry, certainly, with Caitlin, with Kelsey. But at least right now, I view her as a backup. We'll see how this roster takes full, but I think she would be a solid big coming off the bench. But you're right. They still need another big to pair alongside with Aaliyah Boston in the front court, and you still need another wing. You need some size too. That's one of the things this Fever roster, how it looks, I think it needs to get stronger and bigger in terms of size because you threw out I mean, Ty Harris, by the way, does not fit that mold. She's 5'10". She's barely my height. And Caitlin's basically my size. Lexie, a little bit taller, maybe 6'1". But you need to have size. That's one thing I like what the New York Liberty have been able to do. Fever are not there exactly yet, but long way to go as not even half their rosters filled out just yet. And yes, the Fever have 3 draft picks coming up on Monday, the number 10 slot in each of the 3 rounds. Ooh, let's see. Tell Fever we don't want. All right. Let's see. I'm sure everybody's counting Kelsey's money. Yeah. Well, why everybody's counting Kelsey's money? Because it's significant. Right now, my understanding is she has the largest contract that has been signed to this point, and it is new ground for the WNBA. That's why people have made, including myself, a big deal about not only her re-signing, but to what level. It's a supermax deal. This would be the same thing if LeBron signed somewhere, Wemby signed somewhere. This is major significant news for one of the best players in the W. Remember, she finished 5th in MVP voting last year. She was a first team all WNBA player. She nearly helped carry the Fever to the WNBA finals with everybody limping, including herself. So it's a positive, by the way, that it's being mentioned. Maybe a little bit awkward for her or anybody with other people knowing your money, but that's a good thing here for what it means. I do not know when the trade deadline is, Anthony. That's a long ways away, so I have not even thought to that. Let me see here. Yeah, exactly. She jukes her. Kelsey top 5 in the league, so she gets max salary, no question. Agreed. Simply comes down to all of that. I really dislike people talking crap about good Fever players. Sophie was great. I don't think people have been talking negative about her, at least that I've seen. There's a lot of negativity, obviously, that surrounds the W in particular, and that's something we all need to change. We want some positivity. I think it's great to have honest critiques and to criticize in a good way what we see on the court from a basketball standpoint. The more we do that, the more it legitimizes the league, and they're entering year 30 and doing quite well with this new CBA. So I think that's all welcome and encouraging. If it's personal, no, no, no. We have no place or no time for any of that. Uh, Definitely needs size. Yep, absolutely. Kelsey is nowhere near a super max player. I bet every other team would disagree with that. She finished again 5th in MVP voting. To me, that's easily a super max type player. She was the best player on the team last year. Averaged the most, had the highest per game average in franchise history last year at 20 points per game. So, no, that's significant. Basil says they need to run, not bigger, showtime. You can do both, but you need size out on the wing. I'm speaking more so probably defensively and attacking the paint. I'm not saying size like get the tallest players and have 3 centers. You're misunderstanding me if that's what you thought. What I'm getting at is you can't have 3 5'10" guards, and you can't have three guards playing a four positions, right? I think there could be some small ball, certainly, but you do need to add some size on the wing in particular. Wow, Dean, appreciate it. Thanks for the $10. Appreciate that support, and everybody else on here for jumping on. Wow, we're almost at 400 people live on this Saturday night. You can tell I haven't done one of these lives in a while. Getting something in my throat there. Let's get through a few more of these. I plan to go about 20 minutes. We're already well past that, pushing towards 40 minutes here. Let's see. What else do you guys want to talk about? Tell Fever to pay under the table like Liberty and Aces. See, again, that's speculation. We don't know how they are doing it. What I do know is Fever players are going to get brand deals and other type deals because of the stage they are on when they are playing for the Indiana Fever, but nothing that is under the table. That is just comes with the territory of being on the in the spotlight, of being on national TV, probably every game, if not nearly every game, and the interest level being through the roof. Every Fever game you can basically count on being seen by more than 1 million people. Let's see. Lynn Dunn's just a consultant. She's around, is involved in some conversations, is a brilliant basketball mind, but she's not around on every trip and she's not in on every decision, but she's a consultant and is around as often as she likes. Let's see. Yeah, that is true. People wanting to bitch about everything nowadays, finding the negativity. Now I'm trying to find the optimistic thing in everyone and everything. Be Colt. Hey, good. Here's a fun point. One thing I'd like to see more of is better off-ball movement from Clark. I think I know fans, some of which won't like this, but I think the one way you can do this is and allow for her to play more time out on the court is to in spurts, not majority, but in spurts, play some off the ball and curl around screens and attack the rim and do things like that. I think that's something you'll see and should see some. Now, should she be the primary ball handler? Of course, and push the pace, set the tone offensively. But to your point, yeah, I agree. I think it would be great to see her move off the ball and around screens. But we all know she and the team is best when the ball is in her hands as well. So it's a fine line about making that work, right? Your boy, thank you, appreciate it. He asks, or she, or your boy, it's got to be a guy, has said, how did the Liberty pull the slide of hand? We don't know how they've done it just yet. We haven't seen the final numbers of what they're paying all these players. So TBD on all this, but it's certainly caught the eyes of everyone around the league at the significant moves that they have made to this point. No news about Ari just yet. Again, I see her much like a Bree Turner, Sydney Colson, a minimum type player last year. You don't sign minimum players on day one. You fill out your roster and bring them into training camp and make them earn that type of spot. Let's see. Been talking about Fever, yeah, that's a good point too here by Caden about the Fever facilities. Those will be significant. I mean, I'm sure you guys have all seen the photos I and a few others have posted. It's incredible. I want access to it just for the golf simulator, but to have two incredible courts, this will be top of the line, $78 million facility that will be ready to go at this time or so next season. It'll be phenomenal. I mean, if I'm a player, you show up, I'd get a workout in, I'd get food from the chef, I'd get a lift in, and maybe get my hair done and record a podcast, and before maybe have some dinner and then go home. And after using the hot tub, like, it'd be incredible. A one-stop shop is what they want for these players. And now, because they are getting paid much more, players aren't having to go overseas. They're able to stay in their cities, stay in their local market. And that's one of the many attractions, I think, to this situation. JS asked a question we don't know the answer to, but is reffing going to change? And what I'll add to that is it going to be more consistently called? That's what these teams want. Can it be more consistently called? And to the tune of what they're wanting. I mean, Stephanie White talked about it several times last year. Is one game would be this and this wasn't called, and then the next game it was. And so which is it? That's what they want. They want stable, consistent calls. And you also want better officiating. I think that will come as the health of the league continues to improve. Let's see. Yeah, David Decker, you're right. Kelsey's been declared one of the, she's one of the toughest players in the league to guard. That's why in Unrivaled, she was one of the finalists for the one-on-one tournament. She's fantastic, can hit the big buckets, is unfazed, is fine, I think, taking a back seat and letting others get the spotlight as long as the team wins. I think that's very admirable. And she's absolutely a player you want back. What else do we got here? A lot of people asking about Ari. Let's see. Some off the ball would be fine. Needs the ball in her hands 80% of the time. Shaylin, yeah, I agree with that. Absolutely. I'm just saying some would be advantageous to, I think, her and the league. All right, couple more here. Denise says, do I do these lives regularly? I do not during the off season, but now that we're in season, I plan to do a lot more of these. I actually got a new system here that I want to set up, and I think I can go live also on Twitter, on Facebook, trying to come however you guys consume, reach out, and you guys will be able to consume it. You can watch a replay. You can listen to it exclusively on the podcast as well. Maybe we'll start a regular live. Trouble is they play on different days, so it's not like you could just say like every Monday night. But I do plan to do these a lot more regularly, especially if we have the interest like we have here. We're pushing over almost 500 people on a Saturday night. Like, this is incredible. I miss it. I love hearing Fever want to play up tempo and fast pace. Yeah, absolutely. Of course they do. You got to lean into what your players do best. I think that's the mark of a good coach and an understanding coach. Is it's not their system, it's the system under them that is able to get the most out of their players. I think the best coaches do that. They adapt to the times, in terms of coaching, and to their roster to make it all work best. Good question, Christopher. With Ty Harris playing for Steph White, with Steph White before, how do you think she impacts the team? I think she's a reserve guard playing off the bench. She's an Indy native that is a product from Central Indiana, so she knows the market from Heritage Christian. If you're nearby, you know exactly where that is. About 25 minutes north of the Fieldhouse. Certainly not a starter, but probably your third or fourth guard that you can work in. And right away, there's familiarity, not just with Steph White, by the way, but a couple of other coaches, January, as well as Austin Kelly, who are also on that staff up in Connecticut. So a lot of what you see is familiarities. Let's go to Monique Billings. You had Steph White, an assistant coach with Team USA, where Billings was on the World Cup roster. More to that, they went down to Unrivaled and watched Kelsey. When they watched Kelsey, Billings was on her team. More to that, Amber Cox, the general manager, COO for the Fever, was previously in Dallas with the Dallas Wings in 2024. Mo Billings was on that team in 2024. So more familiarity there as well. Could they sign Sid as some kind of coach? Sure, they could. That wouldn't count against their salary cap. You're right. It's not a guarantee that Sydney Colson wants to play again. She's uh, active doing other stuff, including co-hosting a podcast. I would assume she wants to play again, but I do not know that for certain. Angela says, "Is that me announcing Fever games over the speakers at Gamebridge?" No. Uh, I assume you mean the public address announcer. No, those are two people. That's Sean Sullivan and Troy Pepper. I am not one of them. I'm a beat reporter covering the team every single day. Let's see. Couple more here, and then I'll wrap things up, get to my story, and then we'll do another one of these, whether it's tomorrow or in a couple days. Monday night is the draft. The Fever have the 10th pick in all 3 rounds. Should they keep it? To be determined on that. What's the status of the developmental team? They added one in the off season. Rob Dozier, who was working with the Noblesville Boom, the Pacers G League team, also joined the team in the offseason as a player development coach, joining Keith, who's rehabbing from a torn Achilles. He's much better now, but he's got a kid on the way too, by the way. But yeah, Keith and Rob are handling the player development, and that's much more needed now that you'll have up to 2 player development slots as well. Let's see. How much will development players get paid? I have not seen just yet, but it's not the veteran minimum. I would guess it's half that, but we don't know yet. I haven't seen the terms. Again, the collective bargaining agreement has been ratified, voted on, but has not been completed entirely by the lawyers. We do not have it in our hands. So we don't have an answer to that just yet. Last year, the minimum was something like 50, 60,000. I would suspect the minimum's something like 6 figures, maybe 100,000. Whereas the minimum and the W for standard players is, I think, roughly 270,000 this upcoming season. I do not know how many of the signings the Fever have lined up. It's one of those you reach terms, an agreement on terms, and then if you're able to get it done and sign it, you do. As long as you have that verbal agreement, though, that's really what you need so that the front office can move on and go to the next person, go to the next person. They got a full roster to fill out. So many of these teams do, right? Because 98% of the league were free agents. The Fever had just 3 players under contract until today when they added 3 more. Can already hear you, Brayman refs. Yeah, no reason to flip out about everything when the season hasn't even started. There's a lot more to happen within this team and things that are going on behind the scenes and all those different things. But it should be an exciting season. Caitlin, you've heard her say it a couple times. They're expected to be the favorites, and they're going to approach it that way. Now, maybe given how these rosters shake out, they won't be, but any team Caitlin's on is probably going to be the favorites just because, from a betting standpoint, just because she's the most popular. It's why the Lakers always have some of the best, are always one of the main favorites, because a lot of Laker fans everywhere are betting on them. It doesn't mean they'll necessarily win or should win. It just speaks to where the money's coming in if you're looking at odds with all of that. But a couple more things. Monique Billings, wanted to touch on her. I love the familiarity. Depending on the price, which we have not heard just yet, I think that's a good signing. I think she's a do-it-all type player, hard worker, who's going to come in, know her role, own it, and do her best at it. I think she's good in the pick and roll. She's a player that's not going to necessarily knock down outside shots. I see her more as mid-range and up close and grabbing some rebounds and helping you out in that department, really off the bench. I don't see her as a starter, but I do like what she'll be able to provide here for this Fever team. Ty Harris, I was surprised this one came out today. Again, I think I view her as that backup guard spot can help with Kelsey or Caitlin when they check out of the game, for example. It is a bit smaller, though, 5'10". That part is a little bit concerning, obviously, but it's a case where there's familiarity. They know what she's about. She's an indie girl as well. So I think that's really encouraging as well. John, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Alana Smith to the Wings. Did someone report that? Let's see. Ah, yes, Alexa said it. Okay, I trust that one. So Alana Smith to the Wings. There you go. I think she would have been great here in Indianapolis, but yeah, that's a good situation for her down in Dallas. Probably suggests to me that she went and got the most money available, because I think that Dallas team is rebuilding. It's a team that obviously with Paige Beckers, the upcoming number one pick as well. They're trying to get a move on it here and build that thing up. They were not a good team last year. And so you bring in a veteran like Alana Smith, who's going to play hard, do the dirty work, and doing so will probably get paid very well with that. So congratulations to her. Alana Smith off to the Dallas Wings. I can't say I'm all too surprised with that. I think the Fever were interested, but probably not at the rate that the Dallas Wings were able to take on. But glad that dropped here before I wrap up. And John, appreciate it again. Thanks to you and others who have taken on the tip jar, if you will, a little bit. So I appreciate that. Anyways, I want to wrap up this. Appreciate everyone jumping on with me. Miss Chief, welcome. You're a little late, but you can watch back the rerun of this at any time on YouTube at fieldhousefiles.com, as well as the Fever Files podcast as well. Appreciate everyone jumping on. More news to come here in the next few hours, next day, certainly. But right now, Fevers have 6 players under contract. The big news today, re-signing Kelsey Mitchell and Lexie Hull and adding 6'4" forward Monique Billings to the roster for the first time as well. Thanks to everyone for joining me here on this live stream. You guys are incredible and blow me away every single time. I know I'll have draft coverage coming up Monday night from Gamebridge Fieldhouse and a lot more coverage here on the live stream. Have a great night, everyone. Oh, and please enjoy the Masters.